Yabo!
As the voice of the patriot. Now here we speak truth to power. We don't compromise the truth. Now right here, from the top to the bottom, it's all about the truth. Nothing more than the truth. Here we don't criticize.
Yabo!
But if we must criticize, we would only just criticize to build and not to destroy. That is why we keep saying we are in the service of God and country. This is the voice of the people, and the voice of the people is the voice of God. My brother, my sister, this is the voice of the patriot. And of course, we say here we don't criticize, but if we must, we would only just criticize to build and not to destroy. That is why we keep saying we are in the service of God and country. Now, the very first story we are looking at today started from yesterday, and this is an update. I read from Ghana Web. I petitioned President Kufuor for Victor Selormey's pardon. Professor Frimpong Boateng, and I read. Now, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, founder of the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kwalebu Teaching Hospital, has refuted allegations that they obstructed medical treatment for the late former Deputy Minister of Finance, Victor Selormey, calling the claims palpable falsehood. I need to take that paragraph again. I take it again. Now, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, founder of the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kwalebu Teaching Hospital, has refuted allegations that he obstructed medical treatment for the late former Deputy Minister of Finance, Victor Selormey, calling the claims a palpable falsehood. In a statement copied to mynewsgh.com, Professor Frimpong Boateng dismissed the accusations made by veteran human rights lawyer Kwabla Senanu and revealed that he had personally petitioned former President John Agyekum Kufuor to grant Selormey a presidential pardon. I never held any grudge against my V-mate, and this is demonstrated by the fact that I personally petitioned President Kufuor to grant him a presidential pardon. This is one of the many things I did for my friend. At no time did I obstruct his treatment or oppose his wish to travel to the United States of America. I hold you, Lawyer Senanu, to strict proof of your fabrications. The statement read. Professor Frimpong Boateng described the late Selormey as a close friend and a fellow V-mate, urging the public to disregard the lawyer's claims. And of course, V-mate simply means fellow vandal, right? University of Ghana, you know. Now his response follows allegations by lawyer Senanu, who accused the renowned cardiologist of rejecting a high court referral that sought medical treatment in the United States for Selormey due to a malfunctioning pacemaker. According to Senano, despite a court-approved application allowing Selormey to travel abroad for treatment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, who was then head of the Cardiothoracic Center and later its chief executive officer, declined the request. In Ghana, we always want to find an alibi for our own carelessness. Better still, we want to find somebody to blame for our irresponsible behaviors. In Ghana, nobody ever dies a natural death. It's either somebody worked juju on him, or he went after somebody's wife, or she went after somebody's husband. People always find a way to explain why people died with no scientific proof. I am not saying that Victor Selormey's case is the same. But my brother, my sister, this was a man on trial. Competent courts of jurisdiction, my brother, my sister, sat on the case and convicted Victor Selormey. My brother, my sister, he had the chance to appeal. Everything fell through, and all fingers pointed to the direction of financial malfeasance whilst he was Deputy Minister of Finance. He went to jail for 8 years. He was convicted. He fell ill. And then his doctors said only American doctors could cure him because they are more competent, and 2, because he had had an earlier surgery with the same competent American doctors. My brother, my sister, let's look at the case of Cuba. Cuba came from nowhere with American sanctions and whatever. Cuba had no access whatsoever to America, yet is one of the superpowers of the world. How did Cuba make it? A lot of Ghanaian doctors were trained in Cuba. Cuba went on a very powerfully radical mission, what you can call a revolution. Under Fidel Castro, my brother, my sister, radically they overturned their economy. And today, they are one of the countries that come to serve Ghana with aid in one way or the other. How did poor Cuba do it? Today, my brother, my sister, Cuban doctors are one of the most trusted doctors across the world. A country that came from nothing. Heavy American artillery in terms of sanctions. The superpower America. It never made Cuba bow. Cuba stood firm and made it happen. In Cuba, they don't speak English. They speak Spanish. If you speak English, then it's a plus. They defied English, defied America, and were able to make it. How did they make it under Fidel Castro? Patriotism. And this is what I preach every time. They stood by their leaders, knowing that they had a common enemy, and that common enemy was the sanctioner. Yes, the sanctioner, America. They succeeded in making it happen. Today, when you are applauding, you will reserve some applause for Cuba. In my country, Ghana, since independence in 1957, we have been so dependent on foreign doctors. If anybody is rich by a penny, the first thing he looks at is a foreign doctor to take care of him. Even when he has common cold, Qatar, everybody wants to fly out of the country. My brother, my sister, it's a shame. Leaders of this nation, including Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, they both flew out of this country in broad daylight, relegating all the wonderful hospitals that have been built to serve us with very competent professional doctors to go to America for treatment, England for treatment. The finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, who today is on the radar of the OSP, Office of the Special Prosecutor, for financial malfeasance, corruption, and scam. My brother, my sister, also flew out of the country to please himself. Yet the taxpayer who continually paid these people was allowed to languish here in Ghana, in our overcrowded hospitals. Hospitals ill-equipped with beds, common beds, my brother, my sister, to die. It's so sad. When are we going to empower our own doctors? Today, all our nurses are running away to the UK. Doctors are running away because we don't value them. I am not subscribing to this. But my brother, my sister, if a man causes problems for our nation. If a man, my brother, my sister, steals from our nation, causes financial hemorrhage, they need to get punished. They need to suffer for what they have done to the economy and to our people. Well, Professor Frimpong Boateng is saying that he actually asked for a pardon for his V-mate and good friend Victor Selormey, who at the end of the day was pardoned. He came home to die a few moments later. My brother, my sister, if truly the man committed the crimes that the courts said he had, no sympathy for a man like this. Anybody who hates the country, I have no sympathy for them when they suffer. In our country, when people die, all of a sudden they become saints. If you were called Victor and you died, you all of a sudden became Saint Victor. If you were Amma, when you die in Ghana, you already become Saint Amma. We have no respect for decency in this country. Every dead body is a hero in this country. Why would the living strive towards excellence when they know that when they die, they would all of a sudden be called the right excellent ... Please, crack the whip. Go after them. Deal with them with no sympathy. Now the next thing I want to look at, and I truly need you to come along. Yes, my brother. It's an interesting story. And I'm reading this from treenews.com. Yes. Earlier, treenews.com published this, but now it's been taken down. I do not know the reason it's been taken down. It says that President Mahama said that Nana Akufo-Addo's government was a criminal government. My brother, my sister, that's what was originally published, and I read verbatim. There was a criminal handling of our economy under NPP. And this is Mahama saying that. Now, this story is close to that. This other one has been removed. I read, Ghana is a crime scene. Mahama tells organized labor. And I read, President John Dramani Mahama has described Ghana's economic situation as a crime scene, blaming the previous administration for what he calls reckless financial management. Speaking to organized labor on Thursday, February 20, 2025, Mahama did not hold back in his criticism of the former government's handling of the economy, emphasizing the severe financial strain it has placed on the country. Comrades, you know, we, the government, are natural allies, and we have worked together for many years. One thing that is cardinal principle for us is to tell the truth at all times. We all knew the economy was in crisis, but some of the things I am discovering myself is being the criminal handling of our economy. Ghana is a crime scene. Actually, because now a government could have been so reckless. How can a government be so reckless? I cannot understand. But we are faced with a reality, and our options are very few. Now, my biggest problem is when we decide to chase a government out because we know the obvious. And when we bring on a new one, it keeps referring to the last one as having been bad, something we know already. But in President Mahama's case, it is exceptional. Apart from telling us what we know already, there are actions that he is taking to deal with these criminal folk. In the past, we had so many leaders refer to their predecessors as criminal, yet they were never able to bring any charges against them. That is very nauseously terrible. Mahama has instituted the oral team led by Blakk. Only 1 month in office, they've been able to discover some billions of American dollars that went under the carpet, in people's bedrooms, under their beds, and in cupboards. My brother, my sister, this is what I call good governance. We know how terrible the Nana Akufo-Addo government was. We know how reckless they dealt with the economy. They gave us unprofessional haircuts. We all remember how they willingly pilfered the economy. You want to hear it again? We know how they willingly and willfully pilfered the economy to the point that a woman had so much money under her bed, in her cupboard, in rat holes in her room, kitchen cupboards and cabinets. She had money stacked in there in millions of foreign currency, hard currency. And when her top was blown, the president himself said, I know you shall be exonerated because you are a good woman. Such nonchalance, such a penchant for clearing criminals. My brother, my sister, it looks like our politicians no longer think about the welfare of the average Ghanaian. When it's our turn to be in power, it means that the baton has been passed on to us for a looting spree. How many people get so offended when they are not appointed ministers or given some sort of appointment? And the disappointment is not in the fact that they truly want to serve, but the fact that they truly want to loot. How many ministers of state are truly doing their mandate of serving the people? 99.99999 to the umpteenth percent of all these hooligans and vandals are just there to steal from the people. They are criminal-minded. Their business in politics is just to fill their empty pockets so that in retirement they could have coziness in their crews. No wonder a certain deputy minister, a female, one time said that she was only in politics to make $1 million American dollars, and that was it. Such a cheap woman. Cheap beyond cheap. No wonder a political career came crashing down like the Babel Tower. Such cheapness. Under Mahama, he quickly drew his sword, cut off the head of this woman, and fed her to the hungry vultures. Today, my brother, my sister, I am so pleased that it looks like corruption in Ghana is finally getting a very good fight, boot for boot. You might call it witch hunting or wizard hunting, whatever you want to call it. But the most important thing is, no matter how you label it, we shall go after the content and not the label. Ghana has suffered enough under these charlatan thieves. Ghana has suffered too much under these unpatriotic Homo sapiens. To Mahama, one more time, I want to doff my heart for you. Please don't relent. You have only a short period. 4 years will come like a flash in a pan. Deal with the situation right now. Let corruption have a fight of a lifetime, as you are doing right now. In the interim, if the Nana Akufo-Addo government was truly a criminal government, may I just say that we support this government in power to run after all those criminals, right from Nana Akufo-Addo himself, the head, all the way down to the tail. I leave it here. Now, the next thing I want to look at is also quite interesting. And I need you to open your ears. Yes. And listen with rapt attention. My God have mercy. Interesting things are happening. Lord God have mercy. What? Now the next story is a terrible story, but we shall look at it. I'm reading this from Ghana Web. And maybe before I look at that story, let me quickly look at this. This one says, court orders Ghana Immigration Service to pay 910,000 in damages for wrongful travel restriction. And this 910,000 Ghana cedis, almost 1 million Ghana cedis. And I read, now the Ghana Immigration Service has been ordered by a court to pay a total of 910,000 Ghana cedis in damages and lost earnings to Ghanaian citizen Kwabena Bafwa-Sareh. Now, according to court documents shared by the law platform, the High Court, which heard the case, delivered its verdict in favor of the plaintiff, Kwabena Bafwa-Sareh, after the Ghana Immigration Service prevented him from boarding a flight to Germany in June 2022. This incident resulted in the loss of his job, where he had worked for 30 solid years. Legal counsel representing the plaintiff, Kwabena Bafwa-Sareh, stated that Sareh, a resident of Berlin, Germany, traveled to Ghana in May 2022 to attend his late mother's funeral and planned to return to Germany on June 17, 2022. They explained that upon arriving at the Kotoka International Airport and completing the pre-boarding procedures, Sareh was apprehended and detained by immigration officials. The officials justified their action by claiming that Sareh was on their wanted persons list and that they were acting on a request from the Ghana Police Service. He was subsequently taken from detention to the head office of the Ghana Immigration Service and later, on June 18, 2022, handed over to the police where his statement was recorded. However, the police released him after realizing that he was not the person they were searching for and that the incident was a case of mistaken identity. The person sought by the police shared the name Kwabena Sareh and resided in Germany, leading to confusion and subsequent mistaken identity. Now, the counsel further added that following the ordeal, the plaintiff, Kwabena Bafwa-Sareh, attempted to board his flight back to Germany later in the evening of June 18, 2022, after being released by the police. However, he was once again prevented from boarding by immigration officials, who reiterated the same reason, claiming he was on the wanted persons list. This was despite the victim presenting a police extract confirming that he was not the wanted person. In the end, the counsel disclosed that this client was once again prevented from traveling, a decision they argued violated Bafwa-Sareh's rights. They further stated that this obstruction led to his job loss in Germany, where he had been earning a substantial income. Although the defendants, the Ghana Immigration Service, denied the claim, stating that they acted in good faith without any malicious intent and not negligently, as alleged by the plaintiff, the judge, His Lordship Justice Ayite Amatete, ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The judge awarded 910,000 Ghana cedis to compensate Kwabena Bafwa-Sareh for his job loss, with a breakdown which was given as general damages 650,000 for negligence and the unjustifiable violation of the plaintiff's right, loss of earnings amounting to 250,000 Ghana cedis. I leave it here. I think that the judge should have given more money to the plaintiff. That's my opinion. How much was the plaintiff earning in Germany monthly or weekly? For 3 solid years, close to 3 years, he became jobless because of the negligence of the immigration and the police. My brother, a man came to board a plane to Germany after his mother's funeral. He had been working in a certain company for 30 solid years. Now he's returning to his job. You apprehend him right there at the airport, claiming that he's on the wanted list of persons. He says, all right, I understand some of these things. I know it's a mistake, but I'm ready for all your enquiries. He was handed over to the police from detention. The police did due diligence and realized that it was a mistaken identity, and therefore they released him and gave him an extract to show that he was not the person. He takes the extract back to the airport in the evening without challenging anything, trying to return to Germany to his 30-year-old job. He was apprehended again, told the same reasons that the police had not mentioned to the immigration that it was over, even though he had an extract. What were the telephones doing there? How many seconds would it take to send a telephone call so that this could be done? No, they rearrested the man, took him away, and the delay cost him his job of 30 solid years. A man will never work at a place for this long if he was not so attached emotionally to the job. You detached him from his emotions. You detached him from his passion. Now he became like a ghost, a haunted ghost. My brother, my sister, for almost 3 years, how much would a man have earned from his 30-year-old job? That would have been in millions of Ghana cedis. The judge has been so moderate and gave only 910,000 Ghana cedis, almost $1 million. It is sad. I, myself, I am a victim of immigration wherever I go in the world because of the name that I bear. If I am in Ghana, even in Ghana, the moment I present my passport, all the immigration computers start to dance and to blink red. Bing, bing, bing. Then everybody comes around. Oh, your name is on the list of terrorists. Everywhere I go. So now when I go to the airport, traveling outside the country, I'll tell them already, I know this is what your computers are going to say, but I am who I am. I am the one here. Do due diligence before your computers embarrass me again. One day I spoke to the head of immigration at the airport. When will this embarrassment stop? Because of my name? A name that was given to me at birth. All of a sudden I've become a terrorist everywhere I go. Even in America. The moment I hand over my passport, bing, 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 then policemen are running all around, clutching their guns because a bearded terrorist has appeared. And with my turban, I think I even look more than the kind of terrorists they like. Or better still, they hate. I have suffered this embarrassment for over 30 years. But we understand that safety is very important. Therefore, whatever due diligence they need to do, we will avail ourselves and make sure that this one happens. But when even the police comes on to say that, oh, you know what? This is not the person. Let him go. With an extract, written document. How many seconds would it take for immigration to send a simple call to the police and say, police, but a lot of government telephones are being used to do other illegal things. Things that are not supposed to be done in the office. Foreign calls and other things. Maybe these days it's even reduced because everybody has a smartphone and you can call people on WhatsApp and some other such social media platforms. In the days, It was one of the tools that caused serious hemorrhage to our coffers. Government officials using government phones for their own private calls and businesses. Thank God, technology has come to bring this down. In the interim, thanks so much to the court and for immigration. I think you need to up your game a little bit more. This thing could have been handled to save Ghana the close to 1 million Ghana cedis that will go into free pockets right now. Who is going to pay this money? It's you and I. It's not the boss of immigration. Do due diligence. I leave it here. Now, the last thing I would like to look at is another interesting thing. And if you may, open your ears and listen with rapt attention. This one I'm also reading from Ghana Web, and it says, avail yourselves for accountability. Avail yourselves for accountability. Akufo-Addo to ex-appointees, and I read. Now, the director of communications of the New Patriotic Party, Richard Anyagba, has publicly disclosed a directive from the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to appointees of government, urging them to comply with it. According to him, the former president has directed all appointees to make themselves available for accountability to the ruling government and to assist with any investigations that may arise. Now, this is in the right direction. But should we be waiting for the former president to tell his former appointees to do the needful? That tells you how partisan we have become as a nation. If we don't hear from our party, no, there's nothing called Ghana. Ghana is NDC, NPP. You are either a member of the NDC or the NPP. There's no Ghana. Nobody works in the interest of Ghana. It's in the interest of political parties. That is where we have failed patriotically. And I love what John Dramani Mahama is doing. Right now, they are going to be teaching patriotism in schools. The Ministry of Education, led by Haruna Idrisu, has already come out to trumpet this trump card that patriotism, morals will be taught in our schools. Blakk Rasta advocated this years ago. Civics. My brother, my dreams are coming true. I feel I have not wasted all the energy on radio and TV standing for some of these virtues. Many were those who said, all the noise that you make every day, what do you gain? Apart from a salary. Your colleagues are getting big deals and they are living big and large. You are a salary taker. Well, to every man there is a season. And to every season there is a crop. My brother, my sister, not all seasons bear the same crop. Some seasons bear apples, and other seasons bear grapes. Some other seasons bear maize, and the rest may just deal with rice. My brother, my sister, it's your turn to harvest your grapes. When is my turn to harvest my apples and cereals? I will see the difference. My brother, my sister, I'll close on this note. When you sow a violent seed, you will reap a bloody crop. Can I say it again? When you sow a violent seed, you will reap a bloody crop. The way we build our foundation, the way we plant the seeds in our little citizens growing up, we have to be careful, or else they will grow into that bloody crop that we planted as a seed of violence. Let's think about that deeply. Let's forget about this partisan nonsense and deal with the motherland, Ghana. NDC doesn't matter. NPP doesn't matter. What matters is Ghana. After all, without Ghana, there could never have been NDC. There could never have been NPP. To God be the glory. I leave it here.